Visual Disturbance is back. Let's get into it.
Got one that can see.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody. Welcome to Massive Disclosure. The truth is here. Welcome, everybody, back to Visual Disturbance. I'm your host, Brian Reese. They are walking amongst us, folks. Global revelation commencing. So, it's going down. A lot of disclosure topics, a lot of disclosure chatter in the powers that be and on the mainstream. So we are back here once again on a Visual Disturbance channel. Thank y'all so very much for your kindness and support and love out there. What a beautiful crowd to come into the chat tonight. And such a good bunch of folks here. And I see some familiar faces. Thank y'all so very much for being part of the Visual Disturbance community. Hit all the links in the description. Share this thing out. You'll be glad you did. But before we get into tonight's program, I got a special announcement here, folks. And I'm pretty ecstatic about this, okay? So I'm not one to get too excited about things, but as of Sunday afternoon on Visual Disturbance channel, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, we've got us a very special guest here on Visual Disturbance channel, and the program is going to be Stargate of the Watchers Göbekli Tepe Mystery. Folks, it's going down. I met this gentleman a few months ago. I've known him, know of his work for a long period of time, but I've actually got to meet him in person at Spiracy Con. So this individual on the screen here is an archaeologist. Let's just say a MacGyver / Indiana Jones with a little bit of mix of Texan. So the man is a myth, a legend. I know if he's watching this, he's probably cracking up, but we want to give a big warm welcome on Sunday evening to the archaeologist, the Maverick, a.k.a. Aaron Junkins. In this Göbekli Tepe, he's had his eyes on it, he's seen it, he's even written a book about it, and I could not have any more confidence in anybody else to talk about this particular topic because the man has been there. So it's one of those things on the bucket list that I would like to go to myself. So he's written a book about it, he's going to talk about it here on Sunday night, Sunday evening, wherever you are, at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Stargate of the Watchers, Göbekli Tepe Mystery. Aaron Junkins will be in the house on Visual Disturbance, and we are super stoked. Super stoked. Can y'all tell? It's 9 p.m. Eastern Time here in the big bluegrass state, and it's a little chilly, and a little cold out there. But yeah, folks, stay tuned for that. Hit the notification bell. You'll be glad you did. I cannot wait for the interview and talk about an informative conversation and an analytical conversation to tweak his brain a little bit and pick it and talk about certain particular things about Göbekli Tepe, the mystery of Göbekli Tepe. And there sure is a lot of mysteries indeed. So guess what, folks? If you're in the Appalachian Mountains or out on the eastern side of the states, we got slammed every which way when it comes to snow. A little fun humor before we let's just break the ice, right? We're going to break the ice before we get into the program tonight. So guess what? They almost declared a national emergency, or a state of emergency, but a little flurry falls from the sky in Kentucky, and everybody gets their grandpa's old gate, or their old pallet, or their old skid, whatever you want to call it, or fence post, and straps it to their old Ford and scrapes away to get to the store because they got to get the milk and the bread. So I will just throw a little fun fact out here. When I used to be a milkman, and a lot of people don't know that about me, but I used to be a milkman until I had my accident. And sure enough, I kid you guys not, when a flurry or we had an inch of snow or a little, just even a slight chance of it happening, people would be going to the bread man, people would be coming to the milkman and saying, can I have 10 gallons of milk? I have a 2-person family. I need 10 gallons. I need to freeze it, put in my deep freezers. And before you know it, the sun will come out, it'll go to 45 degrees or 50, and it all melts in a couple hours, and the roads and everything else gets uncovered. And all of a sudden you have expired milk. That's a true fact. I'm not making that up. That truly did happen. So big shout out to all Kentuckians out there. And if you're in the chat and if you're out here watching this for future, be blessed. And especially my hat goes off out to the folks, if I had a hat, the milkmen and the bread men, because they get the blunt force of this insanity when the flurries start dropping. So welcome to my world of visual disturbance. So yeah, fun fact, and having fun at the same time, but now we're going to jump into the actual meat and the milk of this program. So, just recently, and we're going to be on first name basis here tonight, because I got to respect the YouTube and respect individuals and be respectful to all. So first name basis here, we're going to talk about a particular individual that's been well known in the podcast community, Mr. Joe. Okay, Mr. Joe just went on a program not too long ago and talked about particular things when it comes to UFOs, technological advancements of humans, and let's just call it, I guess, spiritual realm downloads, okay? So let's just get into it about what he disclosed. Mr. Joe was talking about technology that will create universal language and telekinesis, telepathic. Doesn't that make you ring a bell out there? Anybody out there that's, now you see TV, FOJC, the Midnight Rider folks in the crowd here tonight. Y'all know what's going on, and anybody else out there. And I want to just say this real quick to plug this in. I am open arms to all walks of life. I don't care where you come from. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Visual Disturbance. You're always welcome here. So, Mr. Joe talks about a universal language, and it makes you think of that Tower of Babel. You know what I mean? A little Tower of Babel action. That's what it makes me think of me. I don't know. What if? But universal language, telepathic, and Mr. Joe said one of the major technological leaps will let people communicate without words. He predicted advances in brain computer tech could lead to universal language powered by thought itself. One of the big technological breakthroughs that's going to happen, that's going to change the way human beings interact with each other, is the development of universal language and some sort of technological assisted telepathic telepathy. Yeah, it's getting crazy out there, folks. I can't even speak the English language sometimes. I go Kentucky hillbilly on some folks, and sometimes I don't even pronounce the words correctly. I can only imagine give me a little telekinesis to see what happens. Redneck ingenuity thrown in the mix, we might be going back to 86. A little fun fact of time travel mechanism. Just joking. Mr. Joe also goes on, talks about quantum entanglement, quantum physics, and talks about the new Googles and all that good stuff, and possible equations that it would take billions of years for man to answer, to be able to articulate. It's really interesting. There's calculations of complex, these every atoms in the universe, and turning them into a computer wouldn't have done it in the time, but now they say that they have, and they think it was 2.6 billion years to solve, and it solved it in a matter of minutes. And look where we're at. Look how things are accelerating. Look how much advancements we've had just in the last year. Look at all the AI mechanisms that are being produced at a high rate, right? We're at the cusp of something coming down the pike, literally. Well, Mr. Joe goes on and talks about certain mechanisms, certain things about a vision, a dream that he had, and talking about a corridor, talking about something similar to something that I had once upon a time, a couple years back, and I talked about this testimony when I was at the SpiracyCon. And I presented it to all the folks out there. It was very interesting, okay? Because I thought, well, why not talk about the blue being? Well, the corridor and everything got me with Mr. Joe talking about a specific place. And talking about that this individual was talking to him, claiming it's an alien, and going on and saying that humans of right now have to experience something. There's something going on, coming upon us on the face of the earth of experience or some type of cataclysm of some shape or form, and something that we have to endure, so to speak. So then, not only Mr. Joe goes on and talks about specific things, he mentions the book of Isaiah. He talks about the book of Enoch. Okay, is anybody out there that knows the book of Enoch and even the biblical scriptures? I love talking about it. I love referencing it to do with the giants, and we're going to talk about that here in a few moments. So Mr. Joe talks about the book of Enoch as somebody that he had on his podcast. This is what he said. So Joe finally has shared his entire reality. We're talking fallen angels, interdimensional beings, ancient tech that defies physics, the stuff that the powers that be hide from us. UFOs, Nephilim, biblical secrets, tying into modern disclosure. This is a rabbit hole we've been waiting for. And during the interview process, his voice was shaken. Okay, so I wanted to point that out. It was very interesting, to say the least. So it gets more bizarre. Okay, so they go down this AI conversation piece about AI mechanisms. And Mr. Joe proceeds to talk about something that, anybody out there that talks about Jesus or talks about the biblical narrative, anybody out there that follows the walk of Christ and Jesus, you're going to this is going to get you. This is going to catch you off guard, because when I heard it, I was watching the video and reviewing it, and I couldn't believe it. And this is what Mr. Joe said. Mr. Joe goes, Jesus was born out of the Virgin Mother. What's more virgin than a computer? If Jesus does return, you don't think he could return as artificial intelligence? AI could absolutely return as Jesus. Well, guys and folks and ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to tell you guys something. I'm not going to say a comment about this whatsoever, because you all know where I stand with this particular thing. But I will say that struck me. It got me. I had to take a few steps back and really ponder on what he was trying to articulate and say, because I've heard the terminology that we're going to have good AI and bad AI, and I still haven't got it lined out. Okay, I just think that it was a very, I wouldn't say interesting comment, but I thought not even mesmerizing, not even tantalizing, but something that I'll have to go pray about, because I don't want to say anything negative about anybody. But when you look at the biblical narrative, it talks about Jesus in a different light and does not refer to him as artificial intelligence. It doesn't show him as some type of mythical figure that comes magically out of a dimensional gateway in that shape or form and breaks down in a quantified state. But maybe, just maybe, when you talk about parting back the scroll in the sky, parting back like a scroll, maybe there's something to that. But I will not ever say that Jesus is artificial intelligence. That's my personal opinion. Let's respect Mr. Joe's opinion. Okay? So he goes on, and it gets even more bizarre. Okay? So not only are they talking about that, they're talking about this other shocking information and talking about disclosure. Talking about things that just make you go, talking about secret space programs and all these other mechanisms that's went throughout our time frame. And he goes on to talk about a specific person that is in the power, okay? He goes on and talks about this gentleman, and like I said, we're going to talk about first name basis, okay? First name basis. And Mr. Marco goes on, and Mr. Joe talks about Mr. Marco, and he's talking about in this interview process on the podcast the other day, talking about the objects. And if you've heard me talk about this many times, probably, if you're just now tuning in, welcome to the program. But we've talked about Aqualife, talked about craft, Vimana, water-like beings, plasminoids, you name it. We pretty much tackled it, but there's a few things we haven't tackled. But we haven't got all the way up through the whole UFO community, so to speak. So he goes on to say, Mr. Joe talks about Mr. Marco and talks about these specific objects that are in the ocean. And these life-size, ocean-like size football fields are moving at 500 knots, and we have no idea where they're going. So, I don't know about you guys, but when you have a football stadium-sized craft that's in the water, we got us a submarine on steroids, okay? So I thought it was interesting because Mr. Marco is really dropping some, well, truth bombs, so to speak. And according to the account, Mr. Marco is making claims and also has the evidence that we're headed toward massive disclosure on UFOs. The U.S. has recovered alien tech and handed it to private contractors. Mr. Marco says he's leading the charge, but he's not alone. And also, they're talking about 37 years ago, and all by a certain other individual, I'm watching what I say, a veteran, also claiming that there's UAP crash retrievals are real. And decades of cover-ups crashing down, and now what, right? So what's really going on? So you have Mr. Marco talking about specific things of an alien recovery program of private military contractors. Okay, let me get a drink of water before I get the dry mouth. I don't have any milk. Forgive me for the delay. Okay, a little few second delay there. Forgive me. All right, so the alien tech and given to private contractors, and we're literally headed toward massive disclosure. That's happening right now, folks. The Age of Disclosure film just came out not too long ago. You can get it on Prime Video. And I actually watched it myself. And it's very interesting how they talk about specific things in these craft and how they're encapsulated by this aura, this light source or this water source, this vibratory plasma that can just go into the ocean water without a splash or go through walls and break down the molecular structure of certain mechanisms. So we're talking about stuff that can vibrate and go through anything that we have today. So, thinking about, I don't know, Project Philadelphia in 1943, doesn't it ring a bell, folks? I mean, anything like that went on back then, they might have perfected it now by now. I'm thinking breakaway civilization, 1940s through the 50s. But who am I? I'm just a good old Kentucky boy from the bluegrass state. So it gets more interesting. It gets more interesting. The interesting part is just before we move on to the next slide here. Disclosure already happened. Okay, so just riddle this one. Okay, they're talking about massive disclosure. They're talking about all these mechanisms and applications that they're going to be coming down the pike. So explaining all these different structures underneath the water, aqua life, marine kingdom, little, I don't know, mermaids or whatever it is, sirens, the Nephilim. It's all categorized in one box, it seems, okay? But the strange thing about it is you can go back to Samaritan text, you can go back to talking about the Anunnaki account, and then the number one thing that I always reference is the biblical reference, the biblical account. So riddle this one, folks. Genesis 6, verse 4, the sons of God made with the daughters of men. They bore giants. They revealed themselves. They was ancient. They was knowledgeable. They gave knowledge. The book of Enoch talks about the 200 watchers on Mount Hermon. Wake up. It's right there. And it's kind of interesting that Mr. Joe brought that up. 200 watchers taught man how to do metallurgy, makeup for women, different other diabolical things, swords, everything under the sun. And it makes you go, what is that all about? There's so many different things you can go down the rabbit hole with that. You can go down Lucifer, Satan, Azrael, all these ones that led these pack of 200 to this so-called incursion that has played a part on, let's just say, manipulation of the humankind. Okay? So we have giants of old, and we have angels coming down and taking people, okay? Two different categorizations of folks, all right? Two different teams, just not on the same team together, and they're going to war. So think about that one. And then think about this. The book of Job talks about the sons of God coming down and talking and doing all these different things and being judged and everything. So there's another account. Ezekiel Zechariah, talking about the Ephah, the Orphana. The Orphana is referenced in the book of Enoch. It's all there, folks. The flying roll, Zechariah. Isn't that kind of ironic? In Skinwalker Ranch, they talk about a flying cylinder-shaped like object that puts an impression on the ground. Imagine that. So what is going on with the mesa at Skinwalker Ranch? Strangeness as it is. People online are saying that this is a zoo, this is an experiment, we are being watched, right? So it's kind of ironic, they call it the Watchers, the angelic powers that be. There's good angels, there's bad angels, there's cherubim, there's seraphim. There's different legions, there's different tiers of these different hierarchy. There's these things that are above for us, and they go way back to antiquity. And so here we are twiddling our thumbs, but I would just say if you haven't ever read the biblical narrative and you looked at it, Genesis 6 verse 4 is a very good, strong way to get an interpretation of what's going on in the skies and talking about the flying things, the chariots of fire in the book of Ezekiel. These things are point blank. You can find this in the KJV, and there's other translations that talk about it, but Nephilim is referenced in that terminology in the biblical narrative. And the Raphaim, when it comes to the days of Noah after the flood, they're called the Raphaim. So we have all these things. Ancient Egypt, the not the Neolithic period, predestined. I'm getting tongue tied. It's getting late, folks. The coffee's running dry. And of Egypt of ancient times, talking about the Vimanas and these ancient craft that are hovering above Giza and Cairo and everything. So it's crazy, folks. It's crazy out there. So why is this not even a thing? Why are we saying that this is all new? It's nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. There never was. We're sitting there playing catch up, and we're getting regurgitated, let's just say, information now. So speaking of, they're talking about the zoo and talking about this rhetoric with the zoo and everything, right? It's crazy, beyond crazy, that they say that we come from test tubes, and we didn't even, the Garden of Eden was a test laboratory. Go check that out. Not only to mention, we just did a program here just last Sunday with David Carrico, and David Carrico was demonstrating and presenting his material, talking about the Nephilim have now figured out a way to look like us. 6 foot tall and bulletproof instead of 10 foot tall and bulletproof. Y'all get that. Y'all fill in the gaps with that. It's no country song, but 6 foot tall, and it's no country song, but 10 foot tall. But 6 foot tall Nephilim, they look like us, shapeshifters and all that. Welcome to the paradox realm. So things are getting weirder by the moment. And I keep seeing things on different mechanisms of technological advancements when it comes to medicine, different things to that level. So I'm sitting here listening to all this stuff coming down and listening to Mr. Joe talking about Mr. Marco. And I thought about it, and I seen this. So check this out. This one's crazy, folks. This next one, humans could live forever by 2030, okay? So by 2030, with the help of that protects us from all diseases, right? So according to this account, nanomedicine could one day extend lifespans for beyond the limits we know today. Researchers have already developed a microscopic medical that could move through the bloodstream, detect early signs of certain things. I'm going to watch what I say. Deliver treatments directly to damaged cells with incredible precision. More experimental concepts. Imagine that certain thing. I'm not going to say repairing tissues, removing harmful cells, and continuously monitoring the body from within, while true biological immortality remains a distant and a theoretical idea. Most scientists are saying they agree that the advanced technology could dramatically reduce these things and improve longevity and transform human health in decades ahead. So folks, welcome to the crazy town. It's like Blade Runner on steroids. So let's just think about this for a minute. I had this thought the other day. Think about it. If the angels and the aliens and all these evil, nefarious plots against humanity, I would say, is it the biggest psyop across the airwaves? Possibly. Maybe. But when it comes to the sons of God and talking about these fallen ones, I don't think that's a psyop. So we're looking at spiritual principalities, with Ephesians 6 verse 12 talks about thrones, dominions. We're not against flesh and blood. It's not against flesh and blood. It's against principalities, spiritual wickedness in high places. So it's kind of ironic that these things have got so much power and authority, and people they hold them to a high regard, but they haven't came down here and annihilated everything. They haven't even desecrated it. They might have in the great resets of the old days, but it's kind of ironic. So it's almost like a little spray make you go cray-cray, like we always mention all the time. A lot of people scoff at me and say, Brian, can't you just be serious? But that's just my terminology, which is kind of comical, but that's the only way I can articulate what's in the skies. So let's just have a thought-provoking conversation here for a few seconds. So riddle this. Are we getting upgraded some shape or form, and there's nothing we can do about it? Is that what I'm hearing? Is this something that's going to be deployed from the air and there's nothing we can do about it? Are we looking at a dystopian future that is coming around the bend where we can't even focus on things, or what is really going on? I've been hearing that we can expand our lifespan for 150 years plus. I've heard everything under the sun. Are they going back to the days of the pre-Adamic world? Are we looking back toward the days of Adam and Eve? Are we looking back of when Enoch lived for a long time, Noah lived for a long time, Adam lived for 900 plus years? Are they trying to find the genetic code? Is this what this is? What if? I do a what if program on the Visual Disturbance channel, and we talk about controversial topics all the time, but this one got me. So all these advancements that Mr. Joe was talking about, are they here already? People are saying that they're having cognitive dissonance problems. People are saying they have memory issues, neurological issues, all kinds of issues here lately. They're blaming it on atmosphere. They're blaming it on climate. They're blaming it on certain other things that we consume. So it's crazier than all get out. So this good old Kentucky boy is looking with a visual impairment and saying, hey, wake up, because we have entered a world that is split off into not even a twilight zone. I don't even have words to even express how I feel about this. So whatever it is, God is allowing it, okay? This has to be something to that level. It is more bizarro world by the millisecond. And how can people even admit, what is going on, folks? And in my opinion, this has been going on for a lot longer. They've implemented this plan for a lot longer. And like I always say on this channel, there's nothing new under the sun. I think this is being implemented from probably thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, and now they're pushing the agenda, they're pushing the buttons, and here we are. So, not to mention technological advancements with mankind, check this out. This is what's getting even more crazier. Physicists discovered a strange effect where choices made in a present can shape how particles behave in the past. So let's just read this for a few seconds. So they discovered a quantum effect calling retrocausality, where present choices seem to influence past events, talking about the grandfather effect. Hello out there. If anybody's listened to what I've said in the past about the Philadelphia experiment and Project Montauk in relation to somebody that was in the Navy that was a part of my bloodline, good Lord, have mercy, help us. That's all I'm going to say. Continue on. So present choices seem to influence past events and delay choice experiments. The particle's behavior appears shaped by measurements made after it traveled, as shown in the Wheeler's proposals and later tests like the delay. Choose quantum eraser. While it doesn't enable time travel, it challenges cause and effect, sparking debate on how to interpret it. Quantum mechanics and the deep interconnection with reality. And that's what Joe was talking about. I forgot to mention that. He's talking about how consciousness can manipulate and somehow change reality. If you've seen me, we've talked about this. Me and David has discussed this about the Monroe Institute and different things with the Project Stargate. Okay? So whatever's going on, something nefarious. Something very nefarious. So continue on. This next one's going to get you too. So it's goes right along with the UFO phenomenon. China has achieved quantum teleportation, and as far as this, the data is instantly transferred across thousands of kilometers. So let's just talk about it. They can teleport quantum data across thousands of kilometers, not through cable signals, but instantly through quantum entanglement. This achievement marks one of the most significant breakthroughs in communication technology and could change how the world thinks about data transfer forever. Using a process known as quantum teleportation, researchers linked particles in such a way that a change in one instantly affected the other. No one instantly affected the other, no matter how far apart they were. This mysterious bond, famously called spooky action at a distance by Einstein, allowed information to leap across vast distances faster than any known method. The experiment used satellites and advanced quantum detectors to send encrypted data between ground stations separated by thousands of kilometers. Unlike traditional communication, which relies on signals moving through space, the transfer occurred instantaneously without physical travel. And I want to throw this in here. I just seen this today. I'm not going to show it because I'll get hit with the copyright. There's an individual that's going viral online. He's bought a certain thing online from a big box store. He bought it with cash. He had no device on him or anything. He had no record of anything. He didn't type in any information, any identification, any credentials related to his name. He paid cash with, that's it. No cell phone, no nothing, no technology. And he literally got an email talking about the particular the product that he bought, and they was all asking for a review. And he's freaked out about it. So does anybody out there know that there's some weird stuff going on? I can tell you this from social media standpoint. You don't have to write it down. You don't even have to look. You just have to think it. I've even had times, and I know folks out there, and there's probably some people in the chat, where they thought something, never typed it out or anything. It could be on one time, for example, I was talking about a meniscus. Okay, meniscus. I was looking at the knee, and I was just researching the meniscus. Well, in my mind, I hadn't even thought about it yet, right? And I was going to do it. I was going to type it out or, into the search bar. And I started already getting meniscus references, meniscus advertisements on social media. Without me, I just written it down. I hadn't even typed it out on a computer or anything. So riddle that one. Is this what this is talking about? Is this what this is talking about here? I mean, what if? Transferring across thousands of kilometers, what is going on here? And I've been hearing all kinds of technological advancements where they'll be able to here soon teleport or some shape or form travel at the speed of light or whatever it is, and it only takes us about 30 minutes to create across the world. So whatever type of mechanisms and whatever type of Argotha / King Kong Godzilla film that they've been watching too many times, it's under the earth and the center of the earth or hollow earth theory, we're in for it, folks. It is crazy time. Nobody can tell me what's up or what's down, and it's getting more bizarre by the day. It really is. Speaking of getting more bizarre by the day, has anybody looked up at the sky here lately? 3-Eye Atlas is still in the mix. 3-Eye Atlas is still in the news. The four-letter agency, the four-letter organization did a conference on this, or some type of let's just say an hour-long discouragement. I would say that. I'm not going to name any names, but according to the information that is coming out now, 3-Eye Atlas is making some type of mysterious heartbeat, pulsing continuously after every 16.16 hours. New research reveals. So whatever's going on with 3-Eye Atlas, I've heard folks talk about these new agers. There's a lot of people out there that are very credible. There's astrophysicists. There's people that are in the know with different things, astronomers talking about spiritual enlightenment. Some of these folks have never even talked about spiritual applications whatsoever. And now all of a sudden they're coming out of the woodwork and actually making these claims that there's a spiritual awakening and we're being upgraded with this 3-Eye Atlas. They're saying even if it's a comet, there's a spiritual component to it. What is really going on? Let's just read more about it. According to the 3-Eye Atlas, maybe a hidden swarm, almost messed up, moving with the interstellar visitor. The Hubble images captured the same shape months earlier. Rather than behaving like a normal comet tail that blows away from the sun, this feature extends towards it. And there was a Harvard scientist that proposes that the simplest explanation might be the most extraordinary. The glow could be caused not by gas or dust, by a swarm of small objects traveling alongside 3-Eye Atlas. And that's where you get the Intergalactic Federation of Nonsensical Ideology. But welcome to the Twilight Zone of the Vimana spacecraft Galactic Federation coming amongst us. It's like a bad Stargate SG-1 episode that I'm living in right now. It's like a bad movie, and we're all just living in it, and we're all anticipating something to happen. And according to Mr. Joe said we're going to go through some kind of cataclysm of something that's going to be happening very soon. I keep hearing date times. People have been saying dates for a long time. I'm hearing December the 10th now. I'm hearing the end of December. I'm hearing there's going to be some kind of great shift. I've heard everything under the sun from 2000 all the way to modern day time, from 2016, talking about the rapture all the way to Revelation, everything happening back in the day of 923, back in 2016, from every other thing under the sun, and we're always just waiting here, aimlessly looking for information, but nobody can ever give us answers. So I will say this. These principalities, wickedness of darkness, they want us to marvel after these things. The biblical narrative talks about that angelic bodies, angelic beings, we're not supposed to submit to them. We're not supposed to bow to them. We're on the same playing field, but we got weaker vessels. Hello. And according to what Jesus did and the biblical narrative and what he did on the cross at Calvary, we will become like the sons of God, not the ones from the Genesis story, but the one in Matthew, and we will have the ability to judge the angels when we leave here, because of what the king did. So, if you don't agree with that, that's totally fine. Like I said, we can agree to disagree, but welcome to the channel, because we talk about a lot of controversial topics: aliens, UFOs, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, dogmen, the toilet bows, the septic tanks flying out of the airplanes. We have covered pretty much everything. But when it comes to the 3-eye atlas and you talk about the specific thing and it's pulsing some type of signal saying, wow, hey, how you doing, where you been, probably doing, you know what, and there you go again. I'm being terrible here because it's an old secular song, but it's disgusting that we can't get information and we just get gaslit to the maximum 24/7, it seems like. So it's pulsing some type of pulse now, and it's communicating, and they're saying that it's going to upgrade us spiritually, and we're going to ascend to the stars, or we're actually going to be able to get to a certain human and be super soldiers and be able to go to the draconians. I've heard everything under the sun, folks. I can't reiterate that enough. So here's another thing to say. All the things that I'm saying that they're telling you to do, there's certain individuals like Job in the Bible. Like, there was certain mechanisms that was going on back in the day, the biblical narrative, and they was saying, cuss God, you know. So it's almost like we're at that same, we're almost at that same time frame. It's just a different world, different package, but it's the same exact narrative. So is it time? We need to not cuss God. We don't need to be saying anything. We need to trust the one, the creator that created all of these things. And then God Almighty knows what this lovely, bright blue Kachina looking thing, whatever you want to call it, quantum physics, billions of years of water circulating around it, older than the earth. We are in for it, okay? But do not be dismayed, okay? There's a purpose and there's a time here. Let's be upbeat. Let's not be in dismay, because it is insane. We have to be watchmen on the wall. And these watchers are up to no good, and they're trying to deceive us on the highest degree. And can I get a hands up if you agree with that? So, not only do we have an interstellar galactic mysterious every 16.16 hours saying something is happening, there was also, before we move on, it's called Chuck's Astrophotography, captured these images that there was some other images, this one on here on the screen too, that back in December, on December 2nd, revealing a set of features highly unusual for a typical comet. Despite the comet being bright enough to suggest the present tail, none is visible, not even the long exposure frames. The object displays a perfectly symmetric glow with no hint of solar wind shaping, and its central bright point appears strikingly sharp and a star-like rather than diffuse from its active nucleus. So, when you think about that, I just seen the jet stream, and here we are with this weather anomalies and cold and ice and snow and 4 inches here, 5 inches there, ice here. The jet stream is so intense right now. There was like 214 mile an hour winds going over the west side of Kentucky. That was today, and I think ongoing, according to the account. So that's crazy. So not only do we have this craziness going on in reality, How, and, you know, and a person that's new to all these things and don't know anything about anything, and you're just trying to learn, trying to actually research things out on your own, these things can be super, super, super scary. Like, you know, when you'd be like this in the grocery store, you'd be like this going down the aisle. You'd be like, I got to stay away from the middle. I got to stay away from the middle. And you're going on the outskirts of it. You're like, man, I might be able to get me something nice here. Is anybody got any organic stuff? You know, man, or anybody got something that's not going to crawl out of the package? Y'all know what I'm talking about. So being knowledgeable and trying to dodge these invisible arrows, it's hard to navigate, right? So that's why I do these programs. We got to be not deceived. We got to be walking in truth. Like the title of the program, Massive Disclosure, Truth is Here. Like I keep reiterating during this whole program, truth has already been here. We just got to pick up the reins and learn from the truth. So not only do we have this, and for fun entertainment purposes only here, because, you know, we broke the ice earlier talking about Kentucky and the snowplows and redneck ingenuity to get a bumper on your Ford truck. So check this out. I wanted to throw this in here. So as you see on the screen, y'all know that I love Terminator. I'm a big Terminator fan. Always have been, probably always will be. But if you look at what Mr. James, we're going to say first name basis, James has made the commentary not too long ago. He wants to make a new Terminator film before the modern world catches up with his ideas. And he even quotes and says this: we're living in a sci-fi world. We're having to deal with problems that is in the past, only exist in the books and films. Now we're living in it for real. So, Mr. James has some enlightenment, and there's some other producers, directors, and everybody out there subliminally telling you that this stuff was going to come, and here we are at the precipice of it, and it's happening as we speak. We are in it, and I hope we're in it to win it, but I'll be back is happening. So, I'm thinking AI mechanisms, robotics, autonomous vehicles, all these different applications and things that are coming around. Okay? So why now? 2020, there's a lot of things that happen that's just like people don't want to talk about anymore. So you're probably like, well, Brian, why you even bring this up? This has nothing to do with the massive disclosure. Well, what if it is? And let me explain. So next thing on the list, if anybody's a GTA fan out there, GTA's been out for a long, long time. Well, if you can't, if you're having problems paying your mortgage and your utility bills, rumors have it that they are claiming on the GTA may require players to pay in-game electricity bills for realistic world systems. If y'all remember, there was a metaverse commentary a long time ago, maybe a couple years back, talking about celebrities was buying plots of land and people was all giddy because they spent $400,000 to have a party with a celebrity in the metaverse. Hello. So I always said to myself, did they ever get rid of that? I never hear anything else about it anymore, but this GTA video game has been in the works for a long, long, long time. I'm not knocking off on it in what shape or form, but I want to give y'all some food for thought. What if, because I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but some of the video games, they have like this 20,000 page, document that it says, authorize your permission, push check, right? Push check. And you don't go and read it because it's like 20,000 words. You don't read it. You have my permission because I want to play the video game. Well, if you go back and read it, it'll really get your shoestrings untied and you'll freak out. But they literally use that biometric data, and it's like if you're in a tactical combat game, they look at that about what your tendencies are. Think about it. So, like we was talking about Mr. Joe earlier, talking about specific things, that technological advancements. I'm just saying this is a what-if moment, only a skeptical commentary for me. I'm not saying that I can prove this, but what if it's a build-up to see what we can do or what we can do, right? What we cannot do or what we can do. Building characteristic attributes and everything like an Avatar video game, but they're actually doing that to the real-life human. Think about it. If it's like Predator on steroids, the movie from the 80s, and they're literally seeing what we're made of. I've always said it many times, and even since the Tron movie just came out, the new one, they're coming here. We don't have to go there, right? The digital realm, we are pretty much well-versed in that. We're kind of playing around in that world. But if you think about it and really focus on the thing that we are the user, they need us more than we need them. I've said that many times on this channel. It is crazy. to think about biological, neurological things and things of a quantum field and how the brain works and everything and how we can actually portray, to be in reality, to see reality, how we perceive it. And now these type of mechanisms are being on the Internet of Things in the video game world. So it's a what if moment. And I thought about this many times, that if it's categorizing your attributes, your strengths, what your strong points are, if you're smart, if you can read, if you can pronounce words, if you're going to run to revive somebody on the battlefield, think about it. It's like free game play, right? It's crazy. It's almost say I'm playing off words here. But like I said, for entertainment purposes only and speculative mindset, how crazy is that? And speaking of, video games literally slow down brain aging. Gamers are about 10 years slower. So, if you've been a gamer for a long time, since, I can tell you right now, when I was a gamer, a huge gamer, I've been a gamer since 1988. Think about that. And I was playing on those old Atari systems that looked like a piece of block wood with toggle switches, okay? Playing Galaga, Pac-Man, you name it, Cubert. I'm all over the place, okay? I'm dominating and everything. Then Nintendo came along and little Mr. Mario, and Mario was playing. And I guess before I fell and hit my head, I must have slowed down my aging process. So I guess I got a mind of a 20-year-old, because if David Carrico's he's 75 and he's got a mind of a 35-year-old, I got to at least have a 20. You feel me out there, folks? So with that being said, what if all these things are like an infiltration? I'm just saying, what if they're an infiltration? Everything is being recorded. You hear about the Akashic records. You hear about the scrolls. You hear about the books will be opened, talking about the biblical understanding. And you think about how the omnipresent these things can be. We're talking about the Watchers and Satan, Lucifer, and all these other demigods and everything else. And what if they could use technology? And just like Mr. Joe said, I would have to disagree. I don't really think that Jesus is going to come back as AI. But what about the other characters? What about these other cats? What about all this other rhetoric? It's gotten crazy, folks. We're in the cray-cray world, okay? So what if it's like just a big video game situation, and they've learned how to manipulate us? And like I said, I reiterate back to Genesis 6 verse 4. They know how to pull on our strings. They know how to use us like Pinocchio, and a lot of people are catching up to that. I'm not mocking anybody or saying I'm on a high mountain or say I know anything more than anybody. I'm not saying I know anything. I'm just saying for the record, and what I do know, that there is manipulation of some shape or form or some kind when it comes to humanity. So if these things come from an ancient place and come from a gate where they once did reside in heaven, you know darn well that they can come down here and manipulate, if they got the sons of God that back in the day, to take wives as they chose and manipulate and have the Gilberim, the giants, the Nephilim of old. If they could do that back then, we are living and 20 times worse scenario, and I've said it many times on this channel, Noah 2.0 in the mix, and it's way beyond our pay grade. And if any human out there says they're superior and has this authority, like they're all like high and mighty and they got the red carpet, gold spoon treatment, that is insane to me, because we are all in the same melting pot, okay? So this is why I say all the time, to be a better human, treat humans better, be a better just individual, try to help people and try to live peaceful with all mankind. It is very hard in this reality, in this day and age, because this dystopian future is upon us and it's coming in supersonic speeds. So when you think about gaming, and I'm not saying I'm against it, I'm not saying anything, I'm not saying negative at all, but isn't that interesting that the statistics are saying that the brain doesn't age as much? So it slows down the brain aging, if that's even scientifically fact. I thought I would involve that into the program tonight. So with that being said, I'm going to give a shout out to a few folks in the chat. I want to thank y'all so very much. I'm almost done here. But thank you all for being here. So the last thing on the list here, I want to bring it up. So I brought it at the beginning of the broadcast. Do not forget to hit the notification bell, because we are going to be interviewing and having a analytical and a thought-provoking conversation with the Maverick, the archaeologist, Aaron Junkins. He's going to be talking about his book and talking about Göbekli Tepe, puts his hands on it, all that good stuff. Had been there, done that, got that t-shirt. This man needs more. We just need to give a big shout out to him. So I want everybody, when you see him on Sunday on 5 p.m. Eastern Time, give him a big shout out in the chat and make him feel welcomed. Make him feel welcomed. So, with that being said, I want to thank you all so very much for being part of this broadcast tonight, and I cannot believe the crowd tonight. Thank you all so very much. There's an insane amount of folks in here this evening. God bless you guys. Thank you. Man, I think this might be a record on Visual Disturbance. Welcome to where it gets crazy around here. This good old Kentucky boy, old / milkman, maybe knows a thing or two. I don't know much, but like I said in the past, I'm going to be, after this Göbekli Tepe mystery, I think I'm going to be bringing back the Indian mounds, going back to the original, back to the roots of what Visual Disturbance was all about. I did a lot of Indian mounds programs back in the day. I think I'm going to bring the retro kind of feel back to the channel, so stay tuned for that. Cody's in the chat. I seen you in there, my friend. Good old Texan boy. Shout out to you. Larry, get her done. Keep it real. Bless you, Larry. And Craig Wolf, good seeing you. Striker, good seeing you. Missy, good seeing you. All these folks. Brooks, Leonard, Allen, get her done. I see you all the time in the comments. Thank you so very much. Jeff McBride, thank you so much. Jason and Patty Bryant, thank you for subscribing. Christina Scott, thank you for subscribing. Thank you so very much. Wolf Lady, if my memory serves me correct, I think you're from Canada. Forgive me if I'm not right on that. Forgive me. I have a pretty good memory, so forgive me if I missed that. No, I'm not. I'm wrong. Oklahoma, the Ozarks, special place. I love the Ozarks. Thank you for being here, Wolf Lady. Rebecca, thank you. There's so many people. John, Mary, SGH741, thank you so much for the super chat earlier. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And God's servant, good seeing you. Craig Hayden, always a pleasure seeing you. And thank you, all of you that have been here tonight. God bless you guys. Thank you so very much for being here. And like I say many times, this is like therapy to me. I enjoy this. There's days where I have a lot of hard days where I can't really function at my high capacity. I do a lot of laying around because of my condition. So this is awesome to see such a big crowd and support me in this manner. It lifts me up. It gives me encouragement to keep on keeping on and doing what I can for you guys to spread literally truth and literally information that's stuck in my head somewhere down in the deep cortex of my brain, my hemisphere, whatever you want to call it, left lobe, right lobe. I'm trying to crank it out here one day at a time, but I just want to thank y'all so very much for being part of this channel today and always. And what a blessing it is. Hit all the links in the description. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on X. I've been trying to build that up for like 2 years now. It's a very hard platform to build. Thank y'all so very much. And what a blessing it is to be part of this channel. I'm going to give me a swig of water real quick before I conclude the broadcast. I've been fighting it tonight, especially with this pronouncing words, going hillbilly. It sometimes can get a little rough. I'm like Boomhauer on steroids with the the credentials of a milkman. So watch out, folks. Watch out. I think Bill O'Connell one time said, you're like the Book of Eli, MacGyver, and something else. I think he said Indiana Jones also, like a comment toward Aaron Junkins, but pretty interesting stuff that y'all come up with. So thank y'all so very much. What a pleasure and honor it is to do this for you guys. And I mean, what a awesome crowd this evening. Dang, I'm so appreciative of this. So share this out. Let everybody know that I'm here at Visual Disturbance World. My chair is actually descending right now. The hydraulics are floating down, and Cody's laughing as I'm floating down into the abyss. The hydraulic on the floor, I'm about to drop. So anyways, I need a new chair. So this old red chair that y'all seen for many years is getting a little old. So I might be teleporting out of here and quantum leaping like Mr. Joe was talking about. So talking about a visual disturbance, I'm getting tongue-tied and laughing. But until next time, everybody, keep it fresh, keep it real. I'm trying to be a light and stay away from the happy you-know-what. But be blessed, be of good cheer, because visual disturbance is here. I'll see you on the next one. Have a good day. I'll see you on the next one.
got one that can see.